Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode 123 today for the British Grand Prix, the home race of not only myself, the team, but also Lando. We got the triple threat, and today, as you can clearly see right in front of your eyes, we have a very tasty and special one-off livery to celebrate not only the home Grand Prix, but also the launch of V1, the very first apparel drop that Quadrant is doing. So obviously, if you've been following along for at least this season of this series, you'll know that this team is now rebranded for this season to Quadrant AAR F1, which is the merger between my actual in real life esports team, Team Quadrant, and the in-game, obviously, team that we've had, aarava Archer Racing, combined. And so it's the home race, so I thought I'd do something special, but also at the same time, it's fallen very nicely because tomorrow the early access is live, and on Saturday is the full general sale release of the very first apparel drop that Quadrant is doing as a team. You can go to quadrant.gg and you can see the store there. As I said, the pre-sale, if you know the password, will be available tomorrow at 6 p.m. and then on Saturday is the full general sale, again at 6 p.m. on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, I thought it'd be a really nice thing to do to kind of merge the two coinciding together. So we've got the kind of nod to the home Grand Prix with the Union Jack, but then the whole livery as a whole is a kind of stealth version of what we had. Obviously, the base livery is in your face, neon fluoro green from the baseline, so I thought we'd switch it up and flip the colors essentially and go with this black base stealth camo, and then we've replaced the massive Q on the engine cover with the Union Jack, and then kind of taking a little bit of inspiration from Mercedes in a way. We've got V1 spluttered everywhere, so I guess you could call it the V1 livery if you wanted to and make a meme out of it. But I think it looks really epic for a one-off little tasty number for the British Grand Prix. I am very happy with it, and like I said, you can check out the apparel drop at quadrant.gg. But let's get into this one then. Ahead of the British Grand Prix, as per usual in this game, we have to do the teammate re-signing, so that's a formality, of course. There's no way we're going to get rid of the actual man that started Quadrant as our teammate, being Quadrant AAR F1, so we're going to re-sign Lando. We went for the medium risk one just to make sure we could actually re-sign him, and if you did catch the last episode, then you'll know going into this one, Lando still leads the championship then by 10 points, which is quite a large margin actually in F1 game terms, because sometimes our finales and championship deciders have gone down to, 1 to 3 points already. So 10 is quite actually a large in the grand scheme of things. So we're still trying our best to erode that. We had a very difficult time at the end of last episode where we made a horrendous mistake looking back at the worst time possible, but these things happen. But it was a pretty chaotic race anyway, obviously with some rain at the start to mix things up, and so we're still on the back of Lando. At least we've not lost too much ground. We're still there in second place. There have been some really strong contenders in the form of McLaren, and of course last episode Racing Point with the Aston Martin livery, and also Mercedes in the form of Gasly have looked a little bit quicker lately, but also they've not been as quick as they maybe were at the very start of this season. But we've done well, I think, to kind of fend off those guys and remain in second place and keep the pressure on Lando in the Drivers' Championship. And the constructors were looking very comfortable ahead of McLaren and Racing Point and Mercedes. So going into then this one, obviously there's going to be some extra pressure being the home race, and then also now that we've got a special one-off livery, we kind of have to do well. But at the same time, I'm saying that on this game specifically, Silverstone has very much been my bogey circuit. We've had so many issues, either the game breaking on us and crashing, or in-game in the race we've had issues with the actual racing itself being spun around here and there over the seasons gone by. So it's not been exactly happy hunting ground. Very much got the kind of Jensen Button voodoo vibes around Silverstone, but hopefully maybe this is the one. 7th time lucky for lucky number 7, my race number. Maybe this is the time where we break that duck and actually do okay and have a smooth, without any craziness, Grand Prix. Just a smooth race, to be honest, would just be good enough for me. Well, we're starting off this Saturday, as per usual, cutting it pretty damn fine in Q1 there. P14, some way off Lando at the top of the timesheets, but nothing new, obviously. We literally have this pattern every single race in Q1, but I'm not going to lie, it was a little bit close there. I was tempted to do a second lap right at the end of the session, but I thought, no, let's risk it, and it worked out for us. So we saved that extra set of soft tyres for potentially this Q2 or Q3. I say Q2 because, as I said, not only is this a bogey circuit for me, it's also just a very strong one in general for the AI. They're so good around this circuit compared to other tracks, basically. So I'm actually worried that we're not going to have enough pace in the car to make it through to the top 10 shootout. That's a possibility, because with how close things are on the grid, that could definitely be something that happens. And you can see here, we're right on the edge already, P8, and Lando's only P9 there. He started on medium, so he's tried to qualify through on the second hardest compound there to obviously give him maybe strategic element in the race. The same for Albin as well, but I think he's going to have to go again, to be honest, and I'm going to have to go again on a second run. So here we are, burning a second set of soft tires. So that means we only have one new set for the top 10 shooter, and look how doom and gloom it is. I really hope this is not a sign of things to come here at the end of this session as Ocon goes quickest. We're down to P12. Lando has set a much faster time, so he's already safely into the top 10, I think, with that set of soft tires he used, and so he had to try and bail out of that medium tire strategy. Looks like Albin is still trying the medium tire strategy on the top left there, but here we come through, gaining not too much time, I'm not going to lie, nearly about 3 to 3.5 tenths across the line. Will that be enough? We wait and we wait and we wait to the left-hand side. There we go. Woo-hoo. That is so close. We have just scraped the barrel and got through into the top 10 shootout. But what a mental Q2. Hang on. What a mental Q2 that's been. Both McLarens, 1 and 2 there, Ocon and Hamilton, but George freaking Russell in the Alfa Romeo is in 3rd place. Our previous teammate, remember, this is the race where we decided to bring him in for that second half of Season 6. And his teammate Latifi, I think he got knocked out in Q1, and he's up here in P3 in Q2. So I don't know what on earth he's eaten this morning, George Russell, for his breakfast, but he's absolutely on it in an Alfa Romeo car, which we've seen so far this season and the previous couple has definitely not had the pace to be right up there. So I don't know what on earth he's been doing out on that circuit or what corners he's been cutting to get up into P3, but there you go. And myself and Lando, only just both of us scraped through. Even Lando on the soft run he did only just went quicker than us. So I really hope that's maybe not the true pace of the car. Maybe the track conditions getting colder and the pressure just got to both of us there and we just scraped through. So this first run now you've just watched there, that's on an old set of soft tyres, so not a very good lap time. We're still ahead of Giovinazzi and Russell, but we're behind Gasly and Verstappen, and we'll definitely be going down the order, I think. But we're now on our second run. This is the one and final set of new soft tyres we have to run on this Saturday qualifying. So this is it. Purple first sector, despite just going red on the delta time there. Green second sector, so doing a bit better. Let's see what it's going to be. The checkered flag has fallen. Ocon is in P6, so not too well for the McLaren, who was fastest in Q2. We're down to P9, but we gained nearly 6 and a bit tenths there across the line. What's it going to be? I have no clue. 3rd place. I will take that. I will very much take that. And in the end, Lando's only 1 place ahead of us. He is on the front row again, but it's not pole position for our teammate who's been on pole so many times this season. It's Lance Stroll, the man who won the previous race at Austria on pole position, but also, let's forget all about that. Hang on a minute. Once again, George Russell has done an absolute madness. It's Q3. This is for the actual grid tomorrow. He's qualified in P4 ahead of both McLarens and Mercedes. How has he done this? Because I'm pretty sure his teammate got knocked out in Q1 very comfortably, and he's up here setting a time for P4 in the second. He's sharing the same row as me. This is bonkers. Forget about everyone else. That's the story of qualifying right there. Okay, very interesting. So let's go to the race then. I have no way of calling this because Stroll was quick, obviously, last race. Russell's now there, apparently. And the McLarens, we know they can speed up very much so on race day. So let's just see how this pans out. But it's been a pretty decent Saturday for us. So let's hope we can carry that forward into Sunday.
Welcome along then to Great Britain and the Great Silverstone Circuit for today's Grand Prix. The 3.6 miles of the Silverstone Circuit in Great Britain is hallowed ground to the Formula One faithful. We have 18 corners that wrap around this former World War II airbase and some good passing opportunities at the end of the DRS zones. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's kick things off by talking about Lance Stroll. As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position and the owner driver alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, Esteban Ocon, and Giovinazzi, Gasly, Ricciardo, Albon, and Lance Stroll, Giotto, Leclerc, Nick de Vries, and Russell, Kvyat, Bottas, Carlos Sainz, and Nobuharu Matsushita, Aitken, Schumacher, Magnussen, and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Well, if you watch the grid sequence there, oh my god, this sport can be very cruel, and just like it is in real life, in the game it can be cruel. Lance Stroll and George Russell both have engine penalties, so Stroll's not on pole, and Russell is way down in 14th place now, not in P4 in the second row, and it means quite nicely that myself and Lando now have locked out the front row on the actual grid. 1-2. Could we convert this to a 1-2 in the race maybe? But that is so cruel. After bigging him up so much, I thought we were going to get some sort of mad interesting moment where Russell was racing us at the very start here with the Alfa Romeo team, but he's been dropped down. I've said, you know, F1 is a cruel mistress. It's a very cruel sport. There's not usually much fairy tale with this compared to other sports, I feel, so that's a harsh one, so that's a bit unfortunate, but we've got a job to do from second place now. We've got a much better run now at first place with Lando on the left-hand side of us here. In terms of strategy, it's a one-stop indicated, but obviously we know the tyre wear has been all over the place so far in the last season or so, so let's just kind of see how it goes. I think keeping the internal temperature is going to be quite crucial around here because this track really punishes that element of the tyre model in this game, so gonna have to watch out for that. But apart from that, it looks like it might be all guns blazing. Myself and Lando, are we up for another 1v1 like it was in Baku maybe? I guess we're about to find out, as it's a 1-2 for Quadrant then at the very start of this race. Will it be the same at the end? Here we go to 5 red lights to the British Grand Prix. Lights are out and we're underway. A lot of wheel spin for Lando, but a heap of wheel spin for us as well, and we almost make contact with him into turn 1. The wheels banged, the rear end stepped out, and we almost had an absolute disaster before we even got to the apex of turn 1. But now we're side by side a village, we squeeze him out, and Lando just has to tuck in behind, but that was so close in the rear end. You've got, I think that's a Verstappen, yes, up into third place there. Hamilton P4, Ocon 5th, but Lando's coming at a rate of knots, as well as Verstappen, and we go defensive and squeeze Verstappen. It's nearly 3 wide, and Lando's got the undercut line. He's on the outside of the field. It's all kicking off, and he's going the long way around. Can we try and squeeze him out? Yes, we can. Get the elbow on the left-hand side, and we maintain the lead of this Grand Prix just about. But what an explosive start this has been at Silverstone. Meanwhile, behind, look at Hamilton go, absolutely sending it on Max Verstappen. These two had an absolute ding-dong at the real-life Bahrain Grand Prix just gone. But here we are, Hamilton v Verstappen, McLaren v Mercedes in the middle of Maggott and Beckett, and Hamilton on the right-hand side. It's looking pretty damn decent, you know, in a straight line with the McLaren have it. Ocon comes through. He's going to try and make it 3 wide at the end of the back straight, and the two McLarens in tandem go through on Verstappen, and now it's time for Ocon v Hamilton. This is an absolute madness of a first lap, and Ocon is going to sail through. The Frenchman leading the team in the standings is up into P3, but Hamilton, it is his home race as well, and he's looking to try and come back, doesn't quite do it. And meanwhile in the background, Gasly is now overtaking Verstappen, so once again, despite a quick start from Verstappen, Gasly in the race looking like the stronger of the two in the Mercedes outfit. Meanwhile, it's still very much pressure on between myself and Lando for P1 and 2, but this is where we want to be. It's a 1-2 for the team. We're in first place, but for how long can we keep this going? That's the question here. The tyres are going to be the massive factor on the soft compound especially. But like I also said, just in general, the AI are so good on traction around here, and Lando gets a great exit. Look at him coming at a rate of knots despite us deploying ERS all the way off that corner. He's able to get such overspeed on us to shoot us down the inside, and we just have a wash of understeer as well on the front end, as I feel like the tyres are already overcooked a little bit, because look at that turn in. I'm getting no bite in on the front end then, and Lando's through into first place very easily. I didn't want to give him such an easy time into Cops, but literally the front end just wouldn't respond there, and I had to just lift off that much to actually make the corner. And again, look at how much understeer that is. So I think already, I'm not even checking on the right hand side yet. I probably should have at this point on lap 2, but I suspect the internal carcass temperature of those front tyres, especially the front left, is already probably at least orange, or maybe even red in the worst case scenario, as behind us Ocon sets the fast lap of the Grand Grand Prix, so feeling the pressure now from the McLarens. So forget about Lando and fighting for P1 here. The McLarens are all over the back of me. Another lock-up on the front right, and I think you can just tell by the understeer that definitely the tyres are already cooked here. Look at the oversteer we're getting, and Ocon was nearly around the outside of us before we even started this straight. And as we barrel down to the next left-hander, both McLarens are the outside, and a big lock-up from Ocon, and then some more contact between him and Hamilton, and the two McLarens have collided, and there's a bit of a bodywork that's come off. I think the end plate of Ocon on the left front wing is off, so both McLarens coming to walls, and we just about managed to kind of cut off Gasly there as he's looking to make a move. Now we're down to P4, but we're going to re-overtake Ocon as we enter Maggott and Beckett side by side. Look how close that is on the right, and Ocon keeps his foot in and somehow actually does really well, to be fair, considering how much damage he's got, to keep his car placed there for pretty much the entire section. But eventually we do re-overtake him, as you would imagine would happen straight away with that amount of damage. That's really going to be quite frustrating for McLaren on the pit wall then. So Hamilton is the lone McLaren then up here at the sharp end. So could this, I don't know, I don't want to tempt fate here with the British Grand Prix, could this be Hamilton's time to shine? We had a shock win from him at the Spanish Grand Prix. Could it be time for another shocker here today? Let's see. Lando is 2.7 out ahead, so he's going to have to do a lot of work, and at the moment we are just going backwards and backwards. And Gasly now is on our inside. We give him a bit more of a fight than we gave Lando, as we're able to actually turn the car a little bit more, but in the end there's just no use. I'm trying my best, and we got oh so close to Gasly's rear end, but in the end I have to give up the position. I can't fight that anymore in Maggott and Beckett's, and I think it's honestly just because the tyres are absolutely shot. There's no other way. There's no other reason I'm seeing why, for some reason, I'm driving to the max I feel like I can, but the car, I just can't deliver the lap time, and I'm just falling away. As we move on to the very next lap, lap number 7, as we watch Gasly up ahead overtake Hamilton. So the Merc, the Frenchman, looking very quick indeed, up into second place. Confirmation, look at the right-hand side on the heads-up display. Look at that front left tyre, but even the right front was a bit yellow on the exit Maggott and Beckett's, but that left front is absolutely cooked. And on this game, it's so hard to bring that temperature down unless you basically lift off and, you know, kind of drive around like a nan, basically, but it's so hard to do anything about it. So at this stage, I'm saying box in this lap, because it is not worth for us to drive around on this set of tyres anymore. These tyres are basically done. Even if the tyre wear is not even high, which it's not. The tyre wear is not high on this set of tyres quite yet. I feel like there's still a few laps to go. The temperatures just mean that there's no point staying on this set. So we're coming in for a very, very early pit stop. And something else, we're going to switch the compound to the set of hard tyres. Now, that's a big gamble, and that's maybe going to be a surprise to a lot of you guys, because I bang on about not liking the hard tyres pretty much everywhere. But in the past, we've seen when the temperature's getting that high, it's a lot better for me as the player to go on the hard compound, even if everyone else is on mediums, because then we can lean on the tyre a bit more, and that leaning, but because it's a harder compound, us leaning on the tyre so much is not going to cause it to overheat like it does with these soft tyres. So we're going to take this gamble. We're going to hope that the others have some tyre wear also on that set of soft tyres, because even though the tyre wear wasn't quite that high for me to make a pit stop based on that, it was still degrading quite a fair bit. So let's hope in the next 3 laps that we're going to get on the undercut here, that those guys will firstly maybe fighting each other, and then also the tyre wear is high enough for us to maybe try and at least jump maybe back ahead of this man, Lewis Hamilton, as he's on the back of Pierre Gasly. And here we go. This is what we want, some side-by-side action and maybe some squabbling. Not enough squabbling for me personally there, but he goes and overtakes Gasly very easily with DRS. So Hamilton is very much in this fight for P2, I'd say, with Gasly. And to be fair, Lando there in the background, you saw in that shot, wasn't too far away from those two as Hamilton comes in. Gasly, interestingly though, stays out for another lap. Him and Lando have stayed out. So that's one more lap of, you know, more tyre wear on the soft compound. So let's see. We've seen in the past, in the past races, the undercut has been very, very powerful this season with how the tyres have been degrading sometimes at the end of the stints. Hamilton's in, confirmation, he's on mediums. That probably means, I would say, Gasly and Lando and everyone, you know, Verstappen behind, everyone will probably be on the medium compound. So we have gone very different. We're risking it with the hard compound tyre, but I guess it's not really a risk in a way. It's a calculation of, I think this tyre will be the better race tyre for us personally as an individual. As we go into turn 1, lap number 11, there is Hamilton, and we've made the jump. The undercuts work, but Hamilton's down the inside. Look at the dive bomb he's made. He's in the mirrors, the red proximity arrow, and he's made a really, really nice move to try and maybe just catch us napping a little bit or catch us unawares with a lock up into village. Doesn't work for him. We're able to keep cool and we remain ahead of him. But now the question is, where is Lando and where is Gasly going to be in all this, with the undercut working supremely, and both myself and Hamilton are past Gasly, so the undercuts work for Hamilton as well, and Lando now is only up the road by 1 second or just a bit above, and Hamilton's ahead of Gasly, of course. That gives us a bit of an interesting buffer, because I feel like that Mercedes car is definitely the quickest one out of us three here as we all try and catch up to Lando, so Hamilton being ahead is going to help us a little bit, because Gasly will have to pass him first of all. But here we are, lap 14, and we are looking good, and like was the case a few times when we got on the hard tyres and the temperatures are this much of an issue, this hard tyre, as we've gone through this stint, has actually come towards us, and it's become a very good race tyre as we go and set, well, we did set the fast lap of the Grand Prix for a moment, but Hamilton, surprisingly, is actually quicker there, stealing the purple lap from us, so he's still very much on it, so don't count him out for the rest of this race, because we've still got a long way to go, just over halfway gone, and we're closing up now to Lando, and we're gaining, we're so far back, but the DRS is coming absolute clutch, and at the next corner, we've just sliced through into first place here. How about that? Out of nowhere, it feels like, in a sense. We're into first place now. It's a 1-2 once again, 14 Quadrant AAR F1, but at the moment, we're out in the lead, and Norris, as we look back behind us, he's under massive pressure now from Hamilton, it looks like, so maybe his mediums are already causing him some issues. Maybe, you know, he's obviously in the same car as ours, so maybe it would have been better for him to also go on hard tyres, but he's made that choice onto mediums. But there goes Hamilton round the outside. They're side by side through Maggott and Beckett, and Hamilton is trying his hardest to get into second place. Lando just about fends him off, but now he's also got Gasly for company, all of them with DRS there, and Hamilton's through on the left. Will Gasly make it a double overtake on Norris? Looks like he's got the elbows out, so good work there from our teammate, but Gasly finds the speed on the exit, and he's on the inside. Will Lando be able to defend to the inside for the last two corners? He gets through, but a twitch of oversteer is going to mean they are still neck and neck as they go on to a brand new lap, but Hamilton is away in second place, and Lando for now just about defends against Gasly. But this race is turned on its head, and it definitely looks like this car of ours, the FOM car, I mean, we've actually seen it in the past, sometimes just does not like that medium tyre, or doesn't like the softer compounds, and sometimes you have to firm it and go onto a harder set. But obviously our teammates made the different decision there, and he's paying for it now. But Hamilton, look at the speed he's got. Hang on a minute, as he's on the inside of Cops, and we've tried to defend. We were deploying ERS all the way through, and he's still found the overspeed. That McLaren is super quick, it would seem, on the straight line and off some of these corners, and we try and defend Hamilton into Maggott and Beckett. It doesn't work out. We actually on purpose let him through, because then here we go, we get the DRS back on him to re-overtake him. So playing the wily old fox move, letting him through at the detection point to get the DRS back off him and to re-overtake him at a different point in the circuit, back up into first place, looking behind but not too much, obviously getting some PTSD from last episode, so let's look forwards rather than backwards and hope we can try and push away. But the crucial thing is we need to try and get a second gap to Hamilton, because that's the only way we're going to break that toe and break that speed he's got on us. We've got 4/10 on him right now as we enter sector 1 on lap number 19, but the man behind him might just help us out, because Gasly is on an absolute charge, and now he's on the inside of Hamilton in the same way he was to me on the previous lap, and they're now side by side for second place. Gasly on the right, Hamilton on the left, a bit of a wobble for the McLaren, and he's trying to keep his nose in, and he's done so well, Hamilton, to keep it through in the middle part of that section. But in the end, Gasly gets the better exit and takes the racing line, and he is up into P2. But Hamilton will just come back at him with DRS, maybe even Lando in the background, and now Hamilton comes back round the outside, can't quite do it, and Gasly defends successfully. But look up the road now as we go on board with Gasly. We're already building that gap, so Gasly and Hamilton squabbling. Please continue to squabble, because this is just going to help us. Like in real life, when you're fighting so much, it means other people can break away, and we're doing just that as Hamilton gets back ahead of Gasly at the end of this straight there. and he's up into P2, but it's basically going to be a bit of deja vu for the next few laps, basically. These guys crisscross each other for the next few laps, basically. So, surprise, surprise, in the same place, Gasly now with DRS on the left-hand side is going to overtake Hamilton on the left, and Lando's just sat there. He's not got too much pace, unfortunately, to maybe attack, but meanwhile, Verstappen is closing up. So, let's watch out for this man. He might, the Mercs look quick, Gasly looks quick, so therefore, Verstappen in clean air will close up. Meanwhile, behind, we've got Ricciardo. Then the two Racing Points in the Aston Martin livery. Lance Stroll on the inside of Albon. Obviously, Stroll did get pole position technically on Saturday, but got demoted with an engine penalty. Now he's left fighting very much so, very hard with his teammate here, as they are now still going side by side onto a new lap. This is perfect timing. We cut onto this on the replay camera, as the two Aston Martin cars are still fighting. And into turn one, Stroll just gets that. Albon has to let off. Giovinazzi then next up the road in the last few points paying positions, and then behind him, look at how the mighty four Leclerc is racing a Williams car legit on circuit right now. Absolutely outstanding. But here we are then, lap number 23. On the top left, you can see Gasly has just overtaken Hamilton once again for about the 6th or 7th time in a row, basically. Every single lap, I can tell you, they've been swapping positions. But look at the top left for us. The gap is now nearly 1.8, 1.9. Those two fighting every lap has helped us out so much, giving us the breathing room, and we are now controlling this race. So this fight between Hamilton and Gasly, honestly, has been an absolute miracle for us. It's allowed us to just be in first place still, and they're still going at it in the very next lap. But the difference now is also Verstappen is right there in the background, as Hamilton is ahead in second place. But there goes Gasly with a big dive bomb, and he's locked up, and he's almost hit Hamilton. That was oh so close. The camera angle didn't quite allow us to see how close he did get to Hamilton, but that could have been an absolute nasty, horrendous crash, actually, by the looks of it. But in the lead, like I said, look at that gap, that difference. Those four guys are nose to tail, and then we've just got this nice buffer, and that's allowed us just to make sure we're protecting the tyres. And remember, every lap we go, all these guys are mediums, their tyres are getting worse. So as we go on through this race, I'm just getting in a better and better position, as Verstappen now is on the scene, and he makes a pounce on Lando Norris on the inside. It's a great exit for the Mercedes man. He's up into 4th place, and so I think you can see very much so in hindsight the wrong decision for Lando to go on the medium tyres. For whatever reason, the FOM car that we have to use in my team, it's just not that great on these mediums compared to these AI teams, it would seem, in this season, and the hard tyre was the way to go. Meanwhile, the Mercedes showing that they've got some more pace finally in this season, as Gasly is up into 2nd place once again for maybe the 10th time now. But could this be the final time, I wonder? As we move back now to our POV, just kind of update you on this and kind of show you this nice piece of information on the second last lap of the Grand Prix. Doing a Hamilton, I think, very much so. Do you remember, I think it was 2019, was it? And the British Grand Prix, where Hamilton went so long on the hardest compounded tyre, and on the last lap, after such a long stint, just banged out of us after the Grand Prix. Well, I'm channeling that energy right now, because we're not on the last lap, we're on the second last lap, but these tyres have been on my car since, what, lap 6 or 7, was it? And we go across the line, and somehow, even to my surprise, I don't know where that lap time came from, I think the lower fuel maybe, and we set fast after the Grand Prix as we go on to the last lap of the race, and we're now a good 2.4 seconds ahead of second place. So I think we've actually finally done it. The curse at Silverstone on this game has finally been broken, with this special stealth one-off livery to celebrate the home Grand Prix and the new V1 apparel drop for Quadrant. We're coming through. Gasly defends and is going to hold second place, it would seem. Hamilton's done so well, and it's a good deserving 3rd place, to be honest. Verstappen P4's come back, Norris P5, but we come through for our very first win at our home race at the British Grand Prix. I never thought I'd see the day, but we've won our home race. Absolutely amazing. And that tyre strategy call onto the hard tyres, that worked an absolute treat.
Here we are then, a fantastic British Grand Prix, and what a performance it was from our race winners today. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, tyre management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium.
Well, there we are then for the second time this season on the top step of the podium. So that's 2 wins apiece then to Lando and myself. And that's going to get us the championship lead, I believe, there with 25 in the bag. Lando down in P5 after Verstappen overtook him quite late on. That has helped us out massively. But once again, a really great race for Gasly, doing a decent job to be consistent at least in this season with another podium there. And Hamilton, fair play, 3rd place, really looked very quick. At one point, I thought, you know, he was fighting us for the win at one point. So, you know, fair plays to him, obviously, after that massive bit of contact with Ocon. Maybe, you know, it could have been a very different race if both McLarens were in there. But yeah, with that win, we take the lead now, the championship, by 5 points. It was a 10-point gap, so we lead now by 5 with the 15 points we got on Lando today. So still very much on. We've got half a season left, so, and it's going to feel so long, honestly, with how competitive Lando's been at every single Grand Prix, every single Saturday. And also, to be fair, if you look at it, you know, Ocon, Gasly and Hamilton, they're not too far off, especially Ocon and Gasly. You know, if they were to start being, where they remain consistent as Gasly's been, and let's say there's a few races where we're not so quick as a team, they could still get in the middle of this, but at the moment it's very much looking like a very tasty 1v1 inter-team battle with Quadrant, and for sure the constructors were looking very comfy there, getting away from McLaren, Racing Point and Mercedes. But what a home race, finally. What did I say at the very start? Looks like it came true on the 7th season. Lucky number 7 for us. Race number 7, obviously the number we have. We finally did it. We broke the duck, and we didn't have any bad luck in this Grand Prix. Actually had some good luck, obviously, with the, you know, the penalties for people on qualifying to get us on the front row, and then also just the luck of, you know, trying the gamble on the hard tyres, and it worked out for us. And we've got a win at our home race for, I'm pretty sure, the very first time ever on this game. Absolutely awesome. If you did enjoy this one, be sure to smash the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And like I said, V1, the very first apparel drop for Quadrant, is dropping tomorrow if you have the password with early access, and then Saturday 6 PM at quadrant.gg. But if you're new around here, do subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.